Anyway, joining us now, Pennsylvania Congressman Scott Perry. He's the chair of the House Freedom Caucus. Scott, welcome. Scott, let me just play one more time sort of some of the details of the program. I want to get your take on all this stuff. We don't have it quite yet. Anyway, so let me jump in. And what did you think of the speech? What did you think of what's in the speech? Is it sufficient for you and the Freedom Caucus? Here comes the sound. We got it now.
By returning the federal government to 2020.
We had it now. Anyway, while our technology works itself out, you know it's in the darn speech. We don't need the sound. Go ahead, Scott. What's your take on it? What's the Freedom Caucus take on it?
Well, look, the take on it is that Wall Street, New York, the country needs to hear from the speaker and something other than Joe Biden say we just need to go further into debt and make inflation worse. And so I think that the speech is well timed and it's appropriate. That having been said, the details, look, Larry, many of them come from if you look at the press conference that we held in the House Freedom Caucus about 2 months ago, these are the same details in large part that we already brought forward and said, this is what reform looks like. We wanted to shrink Washington and grow America. You can say that a lot of different ways, but let's face it, paying down the debt that we have now with program money that we don't for programs that we don't need, say more COVID spending, right? That actually lowers the debt increase. Everything we do is the same thing a family would do where someone in the family had maxed out their credit card. They wouldn't just ask for an increased credit limit. They would say, how am I going to pay this bill? And if I have, things that I'm spending money on that I can no longer afford and don't need, why don't I lower my bill with that? That's the first step. And then, of course, growing the economy, Larry, you understand this so well. It's the other side of the equation. American energy independence, if not American energy dominance, is so important. And get the regulatory state off the back of producers in America that want to realize the American dream and want to make things and, without having to wait from 2 years to 15 years to get something permitted. So these are all parts of what we all want, I think, as Republicans, and quite honestly, what we all want as Americans. We don't want to see a default, but we also don't want to be held over a barrel by Joe Biden, who says, I'm not going to negotiate unless you just raise the debt ceiling without taking a mind's eye to how we got here in the first place. That is irresponsible. And it is untenable, and nobody in Washington would negotiate under those terms.
Scott Perry, with respect to you and the Freedom Caucus, is there anything left out that you'd like to add in?
Well, look, there's a lot of the finer details. If you look at the Inflation Reduction Act with all kinds of tax credits for the Green New Deal, that stuff should be on the chopping block. But how about the new IRS? The new IRS hires that the Biden administration just unilaterally put in there. They need to be on the table. And what about the new FBI building? We got an FBI that is arresting people that haven't done anything wrong and letting perpetrators go free. They don't need a new headquarters. They need a house cleaning of the home that they have and probably a reduction in force. And so, what about border security, Larry? There's a million things that we want to talk about. What about funding for the World Health Organization? When you can't afford things, why are you trying to pay for things that not only can you not afford, but you literally don't want? What we don't need is another international agency tell us how to run the health of America. We got our own problems to deal with here, and we got to figure those out first.
Just going back to the point you're making about the Inflation Reduction Act, the badly named Inflation Reduction Act. Good piece in the Wall Street Journal just recently. This thing, the more you look at it, the more expensive it becomes. It's not $380 billion. Goldman Sachs said 1.2 trillion, three times, right? The Brookings Institute, center left, they said it's over $1 trillion. But also, Alicia Finley of the Journal now looked at it. These tax credits go on forever. I mean, forever.
Right.
And so, therefore, this could be, these tax credits could last until 2040 or 2050. And that means that this thing could be several, $2, $3, $4 trillion. Now, whether it's the budget resolution or the debt ceiling or someplace, there's got to be a limit to this. I mean, it's just going to bankrupt the entire country the way this thing was written.
It's going to bankrupt the country at the same time it's destroying our ability to deliver clean, safe, and reliable energy to every citizen in the United States. It's a double whammy that needs to be cut off at the knees immediately. It's like this student loan forgiveness program where the president forgives and you pay. There's no upside for most Americans, and there's no upside for our economy and our long-term financial stability. These things have to be ended. Now is the time to do it. We have this in front of us. Let's not pay for things that we can't afford, that are going to be bad, and that we don't want. And that's the beginning. That's where we start the conversation of this debt ceiling increase, because if you don't have to pay for things that you don't want and can't afford, the increase can actually either be less, or actually maybe let's get rid of the increase altogether and just start living within our means. Larry, if we were living under Barack Obama's last budget proposal for 2024, currently we have revenues to be living within those means right now. What we're talking about is just going back to pre-COVID spending levels. That's not hard for people to understand, and it's certainly not hard to justify.
Two quick things, Scott Perry, again. First of all, Joe Biden keeps saying, you guys have to show me your budget. I showed you my budget. But he's deliberately confusing. The debt ceiling increase with spending cuts is a separate matter from the budget resolution. They're two different ideas, two different pieces of legislation. Biden's being overly cute here, but I was hoping you would be here to tell us that he's not fooling anybody.
Well, he's not fooling us for sure. We can tell the difference between the debt ceiling and a budget resolution. We can also tell the difference about timeliness. Well, he was over a month late with his. He demands that ours be exactly on time. Well, I got news for the president. What he puts in his informs our budget, so we can't do ours until he's done with his. His was late, and now ours will unfortunately be late. In the meantime, we have to manage the country's finances and be responsible about it. That's the debt ceiling. So we need to have a discussion about that and what's realistic, and that's where the president should be. But he wants to say, look over here, look at this thing over here, instead of looking at what his responsibility is right now. That's where he needs to be focused. That's where we're focused.
So my last one, I promise, and you're very kind with your time. So you're the head of the Freedom Caucus. What I'm hearing is you and the Freedom Caucus right now stand behind Speaker McCarthy and the speech he made today. Is that fair?
Well, I think what's fair is that we certainly like the theme of the speech. We've got to rein in this out-of-control spending and get some savings for the American people and end this runaway inflation. Of course, the devil's going to be in the details. We don't know what the ask is yet, Larry. So we're talking about $1 trillion. We're talking about $3.5 trillion. That makes all the difference in the world. We want to get to some solution, and we think that we need to, but it's got to be responsible, and we can't break the bank in doing it. So, the jury's still out a little bit until we get the details on all this.
I'm taking that as a yes. Scott Perry, thank you ever so much. We appreciate it.